We are still looking at free response 4, question 1, but we're down to part C, D, and E. Okay, so part C is asking us to assume that the monopolist is now being regulated and is going to charge a price and produce at the socially, right here, at the socially efficient quantity. So we want to use the labeling on the graph to identify what that social efficient quantity is, and also the consumer surplus at the socially efficient quantity. So let's jump back over to our graph I have over here, and let's look at this idea of what the socially optimum, and I'm not sure what I just said. Did I say optimum? Well, you see these words right here are interchangeable. You can say socially optimum, socially efficient, or you can say allocatively. Let me jump back. Allocatively efficient. They're the same thing, okay? So that's going to be where a marginal cost equals marginal social benefit, which is your demand curve, okay? So your marginal social benefit is one and the same with your demand from here all the way down, okay? So because it's marginal, right? As you produce more, the marginal benefit it goes down, okay? Marginally. Okay, now, so that point obviously is right here. This is where marginal cost equals demand or marginal social benefit. So for part C, you simply want to identify that a quantity as Q3, right? Part C1, I guess. Yeah. Now part C2 is what is the consumer surplus at the socially efficient quantity, and that's easy enough. We want to just look at the area. Let me get this out of the way. And we already have it right here, right? Because it's going to be the area below the demand curve. So below the demand curve and above the price that we're now going to charge at this point of social optimization, I should say, right? So it's going to be this triangle right here defined as a P4F P1. Or P1, P4F, however you want to do it. But these 3 points, right? That's the consumer surplus at the socially optimum, socially efficient, or allocatively efficient output. You can say that, right? Okay. Now, I also want to point out that because in this model right here, marginal cost equals average total cost. If we were to be asked, which we're not, but if we were to be asked, what is the productively point that is productively efficient, we would say that it would be the same, because it's where average total cost equals price, which is going to be which is going to be, where is that point on the demand curve, which is going to be right here. Okay, so make sure you know the difference between a monopoly being allocatively efficient and productively efficient. Now, every graph, or most graphs, are going to look more like, let me jump back over to your handout, and let me blow this up a little bit, are going to look more like this, right? Where you've got the socially optimum point right here, where a marginal cost equals demand equals marginal social benefit, and you're going to charge the price right here, and then you've got the productively efficient point down here, where price is going to equal average total cost. So this is more typical, but what we're seeing here from the folks who write the AP exams, we're seeing something a little bit different, where a marginal cost and average total cost are constant and the same, okay? So be aware of those differences. All right, so now let's keep going here. And we're looking at, let's see, part D, okay? Is the monopolist facing the regulation in part C earning a positive economic profit, earning zero economic profit, or incurring a loss? And you want to explain that they're earning zero, and that's pretty easy, right? Because if price, at this point right here, price equals average total cost. So that is the point where they're going to be operating at a zero profit, no gain and no loss. So if we jump back over to our more typical graph over here, that would be at this point right here, right, where price would equal average total cost. That's where they're going to earn a zero economic profit. So if we were looking at how a monopolist is able to maximize profit, they're going to be charging a price where they want, if they do what they want and they're not regulated, they're going to charge the price way up here. So their price is way above, right? Way above average, because the average total cost at this point is down here, right? So they're way over it. Okay. Okay, where are we? We are, let's see. We're finished with, okay, so what you want to do is explain right here that they're earning a zero economic profit, because at that point, at the point where they are being regulated to produce at the socially optimum quantity, at that point price P1 equals average total cost, and that's how you explain that. Okay, last one, part E. Is point F in the inelastic or uninelastic portion of the demand curve? Explain. Okay, well, that's just going to be a simple matter of looking at that point and seeing what the quantity is, or actually seeing where the marginal revenue is at that point F. And you can see it's way, I actually extended the marginal revenue curve in this dotted line right here, so we could see at that point marginal revenue is well below zero, is well negative. And we know that if you're at the point on the demand curve where marginal revenue is below zero or negative, then the price elasticity of demand is inelastic. If it were here, whoops, didn't want to do that. If it were here, just don't want to do that either. I want to get this guy out of the way. So let me jump back, see if I can just grab him. Okay, good. If we were here, where a marginal revenue equals zero, at this point right here on the demand curve, this is unit elastic, or an elasticity of 1 right here, where where a marginal revenue equals 0 right here. Anything from here up, the demand curve is elastic, because elasticity is more than 1. Now, the other way we can think about this is if we think about what does total revenue look like, the total revenue, and that's going to, let me just grab a pen here, and I'm going to draw it sloppily, I guess. It's going to look something like, let me think, this is where it's 0, so let's put a point right here, where a marginal revenue is 0, because where a marginal revenue is 0, that's where a total revenue is maximum. So let's put that point about right there, and then we're going to draw, I'm going to try anyway, to draw a curve that goes up here, maximizes there, and then comes down. Okay, something like that. Something like that anyway. Now, so from here over, when marginal revenue is less than 0, that's just telling us that we're seeing a fall in total revenue. So when total revenue is falling, that means that the demand is inelastic. When total revenue is rising, when the change in a quantity is greater than the change in the percentage change in the price, then that means that we are elastic. In this point right here, where the slope of the total revenue is 0, it's not changing at all. That is unit elastic, where percentage change in a quantity equals the percentage change in a price. So it's the denominator, or the numerator is equal to the denominator, so it's going to be 1, right here, and that is where marginal revenue is 0. Let's see if I can grab it right here, and where a total revenue is maximum with a slope of 0. So now then, they may not ask you all that, but it's important. It's very good to know that. Okay, so that takes care of question 1, I believe. Let me make sure. Yeah. So the way you want to explain this is you just want to simply say that at this point on the demand curve, let me get this guy out of the way. So at this point on the demand curve right here, marginal revenue is less than 1 or a 0, less than a 0, and is negative, and that's why we know that it's inelastic. Okay, I'm going to come back on the next video and talk about question 2.